I got a comment the other day where someone said basically, great video, but you know, the thing you're talking about right now is actually called patching, not routing. And I'm here to tell you why that doesn't matter, and I don't care, and neither should you, along with some other things that don't matter in live sound and what does matter. If we haven't met yet, I'm Andrew. I'm a full-time live sound engineer. I've been mixing shows for about 10 years. I've been doing it full-time for about 7 years. I work touring with artists. I work in venues. I work in big conferences. I'm very happy with my work, and everyone I work for is happy with my work. So why do I say that these things don't matter? Let's have a look. The first point is syntax versus semantics, right? This is a concept that they talk about in programming. If you didn't know, I did some programming at university, and I also made some plugins when I was in uni studying audio. Basically, there's this concept of syntax, which is like the literal text that you type into programming, and semantics, which is what that text actually means. And the person that commented on my video got bogged down with the syntax that I was using and didn't pay attention to the semantics. What I mean literally by that is that they said they cared only about whether the words that I said matched exactly what it showed on the screen and not about whether the actual concept made sense. I was talking in a video about routing, basically audio, getting audio in and out of mixers and how you need to think about audio to do that. I'll leave a link to the video up here. And it just so happened that of the many mixers that I showed in that video, I happened to show an Alan Heath mixer on the screen when I said the word routing. Now, the more astute of you might know that in an Alan Heath mixer, it's actually I/O. That's the button that you click to get into this screen. But it doesn't matter what it's called, right? It's called something different half the time. On a Midas mixer, it might be called routing, you know? It could be called input selection, it could be called I/O, it could be called patching, it could be called routing. It doesn't matter. What matters is the underlying concept of getting the audio from your stage box or from a place in the room into your digital mixer and getting that mixed audio out again. So it doesn't matter what it actually says on the button. It could say deep fried pizza for all I care. As long as I know that when I press that button, I get access to the screen that lets me move the audio from point A to point B. So if you're struggling with a problem in audio and you feel like someone has told you to do something, but it doesn't line up perfectly with what you're expecting on that mixer, zoom out a bit. Think big picture. Think about the concept. Understanding the concept of finding the screen that allows you to move the audio is way more important than thinking the screen should always be called I/O. Syntax versus semantics. I/O is the syntax. Audio routing or patching or moving signals, that's the semantics. I/O gets you to the screen where you move audio. Routing might get you to that screen. Patching might get you to that screen. It's different day to day. If you are struggling with the fundamental concepts and you want to get better at live sound, you want to build a career in live sound, and you want support and community while you're doing that, then you should check out my Live Sound Career Accelerator, which I'm just launching this summer. I'll leave a link to the description down below where you can read a little bit more about it and you can apply to be part of it. You'll be working directly with me from week to week over 12 weeks. Check the link in the description to learn more. The second thing that I want you to think about is the difference between truth or hard facts in audio and opinions in audio. This is courtesy of another viewer. One day I got a comment popped up and it said, I loved your video, but what you said in the first sentence is false. I was like, oh no, I better check that up. I hope I didn't say something that wasn't informative or was incorrect. What I said basically was that compression is the cornerstone of a mix. There's nothing factual about that statement. I believe that compression is the cornerstone of a good mix. You might not believe that. That doesn't make it true or false. It just means that compression is part of a mix, and it's a part of a mix that I lay more weight on when I'm mixing. I care about that. Saying that compression is the cornerstone of a mix can also mean that absence of compression is the cornerstone of a mix as well. Choosing not to use compression still doesn't change whether compression is the cornerstone of a mix. You can also have more than one cornerstone in the mix. I would say the EQ is also a cornerstone of a mix. The big takeaway here is that it's very important to identify what is factually true or false versus what is an opinion. And we're doing something really subjective here. We are mixing audio. We're essentially taste makers. There is an element of our job which we might call being a technician or being an engineer, right? That is the factual part of it. If you don't put phantom power on a condenser microphone, the microphone will not perform properly. That is a fact, right? The microphone is designed to receive 48 volt signal over phantom power in an XLR cable. True, false, right? If you don't turn the EQ on, you will not hear the results of the EQ. Fact, right? You can't argue with that. Although you might convince yourself that you're hearing the EQ as you dial it when it's off, because we've all done that, haven't we? However, if I say that using a filter to cut out the bass on most instruments is essential to a clean mix, that's my opinion, right? Because a clean mix is not a factually provable concept. It's just my personal taste. But at the end of the day, when it comes to opinions and subjective choices, I can only tell you what I like and why I like it. I can't tell you whether you should or should not do something as a fact or not. My third point is what does matter then, right? Because like, if it doesn't matter whether you call it routing or IO, and it also rather contradictorily doesn't matter what I say because it's just my opinion, then what does matter? Sound engineers don't get paid to be correct about terminology, right? We get paid to get a result. We get paid as an insurance policy. We get paid to make sure that everyone has a good time, everyone is comfortable, and nothing goes wrong. And if anything does go wrong, it is fixed as soon as possible. We get paid to make sure the show happens. It's not important what words we use to make that show happen. If you understand fundamental audio concepts like routing/IO/patching, right, you are able to adapt to new situations because you understand the concept, which is what I tried to teach in that video, right? If you only understand the steps to achieve a result, for example, press IO, press this button, then press that button to patch the microphone, right? If that's the level that you understand things on, then you need to increase your understanding to understand the why behind that. Because once you understand the why, you can get to the result. Nitpicking over language is only important if it speeds up the result or reduces error. If you say to someone on a show, can you just route channel 1 from that stage box into input 1 in that mixer? The message is clear, right? If the other person says, do you mean patching? They're sabotaging the show, right? Because they understood you perfectly well and they are stopping everything up, delaying things to make things clearer, right? The best mixing engineers that I know that I have worked with, I've worked with many, all care about the results and they don't care about the terminology. They don't care about what's right or wrong. They only care about what works. The best mixers, when you ask them what they're doing, they don't go, oh, wait till you see this awesome EQ technique. They just go, I just did what I needed. And then they show you. Right? Progress doesn't happen when you nitpick and get pedantic about terminology. Progress happens when you understand the fundamentals and you deepen your understanding of the fundamentals and you implement that in a natural and understandable way to you. It happens when you say, what's going on here? And then you work out what's happening under the hood. If it was useful to you, this was interesting, please subscribe to the channel and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.